Good morning, it's Elaine with Elaine's Custom Cards. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. It's a birthday card for my great-grandson. All I did for this idea was looked in the annual catalog. It's on page 49 and it's this picture right here. And I cased this card. So I'm going to show you how I made it. It's a very cute stamp set here. It's called Hippo Happiness. And it's a bundle. You can buy the stamp set and the dies. And I used the hippo die, the lamb, and the butterfly and the balloon from this set of dies. But it's got some really nice label dies in here. So the interesting part, I think the hardest part I had with this card was stamping this, because it's several of the images here. It's the hippo birthday, to you, and then the fluttering by from this, and then to say. This was the hardest part, to get just the words I wanted from this, but I managed it. And then for the inside of the card I used a grand kid, and I used this image here, and I wanted the word great, but I couldn't find the word great on any of my stamp sets because it's my great-grandson. So I just wrote it in with the Pretty Peacock Stampin' Right marker. And that's what I stamped this with. And then for the sentiment, I used the stitch rectangles, and I used the second to the smallest of the longer rectangles, and then to cut the center out of this I used the second to the largest of the large ones for that. And I'll put all the sizes and dimensions on my blog after I post this video. And then I used this embossing folder, and I'll put on my blog which one it is. And I did that to give the grass some texture, and that looked like what they used in the catalog, so that's what I used. So the first thing I want to show you is how I stamped the animals. I used my Stamparatus, and I will show you how I did this. Let's get a piece of paper. Well, we can stamp. I stamped him on the envelope, so we'll do another envelope. It's the same idea. We'll use the envelope. I thought it was cute to have him on the envelope. So first thing you do is you put your large image on, and then you put your envelope where you want to stamp, or your piece of paper when you're going to cut out. So right about there will work. And then you put your magnets on, so that your envelope won't move. Make sure he's maybe a little bit higher. I think I'll line him up right there. Perfect. Okay. Get everything out of the way. So what I used for the hippopotamus was Gorgeous Grape. I tried it with Highland Heather, but felt like it wasn't dark enough for me, so I switched it to the Gorgeous Grape. So you just take your stamp set, and you're going to need to stamp off because he's pretty dark. So you just put a piece of paper there because you're going to stamp off. And I'm going to put something under here. Make that flat, because it's easier to stamp. Okay, So then you ink up your hippopotamus full strength here. I'm sorry if you can't see. Let me move this way a little bit. There. So I stamped him up full strength here. And then you're going to stamp him down, and stamp him off, and then stamp him on your envelope or cardstock. And I like to clean them off so that I don't get ink all over me and everything else. So I'm just taking my, let me see if I can put that out a little farther. It's about as far up as I can get it. So I cleaned him off. Then I inked up, and you probably can't see, I've got him lined up, the outer portion. So I just did this piece. Now I'm going to do this one. So you do the same color of ink, and this one you're going to leave full strength because you want it to be dark. So you stamp that on there and hope it's still lined up. I lined these up on scrap paper ahead of time. That looks perfect. Clean him off. And then I put the face, his little face. I'm going to close this so I don't get ink all over myself. Still got ink on it. It's so easy to get ink all over yourself if you don't clean it off. Okay. Make sure he's still lined up. Looks pretty good. And then I took Memento Black and stamped the face with the black. And then stamp that down. And that's this image right here, the face. And you go through this same process with the other animals. It's like 3 steps. And I'll show you the pieces for the other animals and what I did. So that's your hippopotamus. And then you can, once you do this on your plain paper, then you can die cut him out. So that's how we do the envelope and the animals. So I'm going to get this out of the way. Okay, done with that. So with the lamb, you stamp this image first, and I used crumb cake because I wanted it light. And then I used did this image in soft suede, and then the face with black. And then I discovered with the butterfly, it's depending on what colors you're going to use. I wanted a darker color for this, so I stamped that first because I just did this freehand. It was pretty simple. And then I used this is Calypso Coral, and the inside is So Saffron. This one's Highland Heather and So Saffron. And then this is the balloon, and it's just a 1-step. And then you just cut them all out with your dies. And the butterfly's face is right here, his eyes and mouth. So that's how I did that. Now let's get started on this. I have everything cut out. This is Pretty Peacock. This is Balmy Blue, and this is Pretty Peacock. This card base is 5.5 by 4 1/4 top fold there. This is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 because you don't want it to show. This is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, because this is going to go like this and then on top of here. The grass, you're just going to cut. I took a piece of cardstock about this size and ran it through the embossing folder, this embossing folder. And I'll put in my blog what this one's called. I don't have it in my head right now. It's new. And then I just cut the grass. So this piece goes in the back, like so. And you're going to trim. And then this piece goes on top, like that. And then I took a sponge dauber. And I took my soft suede, because you can't really see the hills that way. So I just took my sponge dauber and I sponged. Just a little bit of sponging on the top of my little grass mounds, like so. So that they have some definition. We are going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals. I know you could use green if you want to give it definition, but I liked the brown or the soft suede. Okay, there's that. Get this stuff out of the way. Okay, the next thing I did was I started doing my layering. And I kind of arranged it how I wanted first. And you're not going to see any of this. If there's a gap, you're not going to see that, because you're going to cover it up with the frame. So I kind of wanted about like that. Okay? So the first piece I'm going to glue this one down to the soft suede. I mean the balmy blue. So glue that piece down first, right about there. And you want to make sure that before you do all your dimensions that you do some of your stamping. Like I took my balmy blue and I wanted my butterfly to have the little trail so it looked like he was flying. So I kind of decided in what corner of this framework my butterfly was going to be. So I put the frame on there, like so. And then I stamped butterfly trail one there, turned it over so they look like they were going different, and then put the other one right here so that those were already on there, because they're a little harder to put on there after you've got all your dimension. And I discovered that with this is the balloon string, so you're going to want to put that down a little ways so you got room for your balloons. And I just kind of made it look like there was 3 strands, like so. Okay, there's that. And now you can start layering. Now, as I'm layering, I'll tell you what colors that I use. So the balloons are Flirty Flamingo stamped off once. This is Daffodil Delight, and this one's Granny Apple Green. The grass is Granny Apple Green. That should be everything that I used. Okay, now we're going to put this one down. And I actually put it on the back of the frame because I wanted this one to be up. So you're going to have to put this one on first to the back of the frame. So you just kind of, we're going to just glue it to the back of the frame. Just along this edge, the bottom edge. Well, you can, let's see, I want to make sure I have the right side of the frame there. So you can put a little bit of glue along the bottom edge of your grass, just like so, and right there. And then you're going to just glue it down, just like so. Okay? Then you're going to test it, make sure you got it in the place you want. And it looks good. And you're going to do the same thing to this one. You're going to glue it. I made it a little long. So you're just going to glue that also to your frame. Just like so. So I'm going to put the glue on the frame itself. Right here. I'm not sure how far that went. That's probably far enough. And lay it down. Like so. Oops. I think I want it over a little farther. Because you got plenty. And you're going to cut off the excess. Just going to take your scissors and cut this end off. But you don't need that much. You can pre-measure. I just found this easier so that I could get it the length I wanted. Okay? And it's up to you if you want to put glue under here. It's not really necessary. Okay, then I took, on this one I used the strips. You can see that in there, but I thought it was a little high. So we're just going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. I can find them. Oh, they're over here. You may need to use minis on some of this. So let's see how this works. You're going to want actually quite a few because you don't want it to collapse. And looks like we're going to have to use minis on the rest of the frame. I'm going to put one there. And then I want this one to stick out just a little bit. So I'm going to kind of put one under there, like so. So that sticks out just a little. And then I use some of the minis. That'll work better on the rest of the frame, I think. Especially on these, I don't want them to show. So on this edge, which is pretty thin, we're going to use the minis on there. Put one there. And there. It's nice having the different sizes. Now you could use the edges of your dimensionals. That would work too. Okay. So now we're going to adhere this to the blue. You can do it one of two ways. You can either turn the blue over and go this way, or you can just try to line it up. Wanted to tell you about my host code. It's going to be, this is my host code. for the rest of August. And with a $50 order, and you use that host code right there, I'm giving away, and it's kind of a first come first serve. I have 3 of these, never been used. So with a $50 order, the first, if this is what you want, I have 3 of them. So the first 3 people who request this with a $50 order will get that. And if you'd rather have this, I have 4 of these. So with a $50 order, you can either have this or the Ladybug stamp set. Like I said, I've got 3 of the Ladybug stamp sets and 4 of the card kits. And that's the kerchief card kit. So I'm giving that away with a $50 order if you use my host code right here. Okay? That'll be on my blog also. Okay, I'm going to do this maybe without making a mess. This way. Get it centered on there. And it's okay if these go past, because we're just going to glue this down anyway to the front of the card. Get that stuff out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to glue this to the front of my card. And it's okay if the dimensionals stick out, because they're just going to adhere to that. Make sure you get her right side up. Just like so. Okay. And take your little critters, and you're going to add them. And I put dimensionals on the backs of all of them. With the hippopotamus just on the head, the lambs just on the head, and then the butterflies, you can either use the minis or the regular size. I used just the normal size. Put on these. Oh, I want the yellow balloon in front. So you got to pick which balloon you want to be in the front. And I think got to put your glue dots on first. Okay, so you take your glue dot and you decide, okay, I want the yellow balloon to touch right here. So you glue the yellow balloon to the green balloon. You want it grouped like so. Okay. And then you're going to put one on the pink balloon right about there. And pick it up. Sometimes my fingers don't work. Starting to get arthritis. So put that one on there, and then you put your Stampin' Dimensional on the back. So then you just start assembling. I put a little bit of glue on my hippopotamus down here. And put him on first, right there. And then I put my little lambs on there, and you put the back one on first. And he's kind of standing on that hill. And you put the other one on there. So he's standing on the front hill, right there. Like that. Put your butterflies in the corners over here. And you can lift up the wings a bit. The other one on the other side. Like I said, this is a pretty simple card. This requires a little bit of cutting. Then you put your balloons on. Right there. And then your sentiment, I just glued it on and I put one Stampin' Dimensional in that corner right there. Well, you don't need to, I guess. I did, but you don't need to. So I just glued that on. Ignore the back. I messed up when I did it the first time. Didn't like the way it looked. So, let's put your sentiment on there. And then you can stamp whatever you want on the inside. And I just used another piece of Whisper White. And this piece is 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. Stamp what you want on there. Put it for your sentiment on the inside. And there's your card. I hope you like this card. It's a little different than what I normally do, but my grandson is turning 1 at the end of this month, so I wanted to make him a card. You have a blessed day, and be sure to go to my blog. This is my host code for the rest of August, and I will put all the dimensions and the stamp sets and stuff that I used on my blog after I post this video. You have a blessed day and have fun stamping.